We're going to be painting a frost giant. I'm Mike with the Grizzled Warmaster, and we're back with another episode of my painting vlog. And today we're going to be tackling Frost Giant. This is, again, a Noel's WizKids pre-prime model, and this thing is awesome. I don't know if you've collected some of the miniature giants over the past. I mean, they were about half the size of this thing. About this, you know, if you look at some of the old Frost Giant models, they come about to his waist. And then in the pre-printed models, they came out with like a taller, thinner one. It was, you know, closer, probably about shoulder height of this thing, but it was really thin. But wow, they knocked out of the park with this one. This is an amazing model to paint. It is huge. It's a proper sized giant. Of course, now it's, you know, they need to up the game and make some fire giants and stone giants and some cloud giants and that. But this was a lot of fun to paint. I went with the classic blue skin theme. I know a lot of people are going with regular giant themed, and then like kind of more of the blue on the clothing and that. But I like the classic blue skin look for the D&D Frost Giants, so I went with that. I like the fact that he has very like runic looking weapons. They were a lot of fun to paint in detail, and I like the fact he's wearing a skull on his helm and for a helm. So. All that is awesome. The miniatures are great. So let's hit the table and see how I painted this thing. All right, here we go. Just look at the model here. It does come with one arm off, so it makes it a little bit easier to paint here. There's a lot of fur and a lot of chainmail. And there's a lot of detail to this model. It is amazing. It comes with a separate. It comes on a base and it comes with a separate base. Now, when we're going to skin here, not much. There's face, hands, and arms. I'm going to go with the traditional blue-skinned Frost Giant. We're going to start with a base of rust gray. That's going to give us a good foundation of darker blue, or, you know, not bright blue, but like a gray blue. All right, we got the rust gray on, and now we're going to darken it up a little bit here. We're going to add some ink. We're going to add some blue tone ink from Army Painter. Any blue ink will work, any blue wash. This is just to bring out the detail, the muscles and everything. That is what it looks like with got the one arm already inked. And now we'll do the rest of it. Okay, ink's all dry. We're ready to add some more details. We're going to layer this up. First color is going to be crystal blue. From Army Painter. We're going to use a lot of Army Painters in this. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's Calador Sky is the Citadel equivalent. There you go. Got an idea what we're doing here. I think it was Enchanted Blue before, but that's the blue we're using. Okay. And we left some of the other colors showing in the recesses. Now we're going to highlight even further with some Toxic Mist. And I'm not sure exactly what the equivalent of this, but this is a very light, bright blue there. There we go. Got all the skin detail done. Now we're going to go through and pick out all the chainmail here, all the metal, the axe blades here. And we're going to use a darker color. We're going to go with rough iron from Army Painter. I don't think there's an equivalent here, but any darker metal color will work. Or if you use a like a gunmetal, then darken it down with some washes. But rough iron looks really nice. Okay, got all the rough iron in there. You can see it's a really dark metal, almost copperish but darker. And I won't kind of cut out there, but it was showing you that we're going to dry brush gunmetal over that. And the gunmetal is lead belcher, I believe, in Citadel. And now we're going to wash it with Noel, just like we do all our metals. Bring out the details. Yep. Show you there. Yep, dry brushing it. Right over the chainmail and right over the detail. All the detail in the axes will come right out. Pop with that. All right. Now we got all the metal shaded. Now we're going to go through and we're going to paint this all the skins. Now this is going to keep white right at the cowl, but these are going to be like lighter leather, belt and that. And then we're going to do like a darker leather for the trim on the chainmail and for the pauldrons, I guess. So I just want to give it like a varying layers of different leather colors. So we're going to go with Steel Legion Drab for the lighter one, and then Dryad Bark for the darker one for a base coat. All right, there we go. We got the base coat of all our leather browns done. Let's see the lighter and the darker. We got the two different contrasting ones. And for the darker one, we went around not only the trim but also underneath there. So we got the pants that's the lighter leather, and then the darker trim we went all the way under there because there's a lot of dark areas under there. Because remember, we primed this white, or we didn't prime it; it came primed white. And now for the shading of all the brown. Agrax Earthshade or any brown wash will work. So we go through, and you can see on the gauntlets there with the different, both color browns, the straps, the darker ones. All right. Now we got all this done. We're going to go with the white here. Was the beard and then the fur on the boots and on the shoulders. And while we're at it, we're going to do all the scales, the dragon scale. We're going to use Pallid Witch Flesh for a base for this. So this is kind of an off-white color. So I'm going to start with that and go over pretty much all of the fur and all the dragon scale pieces on the armor. All right, with that down, we're now going to want to give this all the white kind of a bluish tint. So what we're going to do is we're going to wash all the fur, all the dragon scales and everything. And we're going to use a Citadel color, and this is going to be Night Haunt Gloom. Now, this is a very light. No, the blue tone ink is like a dark wash. This is really light. It's used for like the ghostly effects for like night haunts and that kind of thing. It's mainly what the color's used for, but it makes a really nice subtle blue to the fur. Okay. One thing I forgot to mention, the Night Haunt Gloom on there. I didn't dropped an arm there. Not using that direct, actually thin it down 1-to-1 with Lamia medium. Or any kind of medium will work. Just thin it down 1-to-1. And then went over all the stuff. Now we're going to dry brush white over. So we're actually going to do Uthon Gray, which is a whitish gray. And then we'll do regular white for the final highlight, final dry brush. So this one's a heavier dry brush, Uthon Gray. And now that that's all on there, it looks good right there at that point. It's got the bluish underneath. Oops, keep the camera steady here. All right. Now you can leave it here if you want, but I went one step further with it, and I picked out the top raised areas with pure white. That's an old skull white. I think it's ceramite white now is the color, or white scar, I believe. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with all the new Citadel names, but just the topmost part. Okay. Now that is all done. We need to go through and pick out all the raised areas on the leather. And I'm going to use a light XV88, which is going to be kind of a terracotta color. There we go. And I got all the stitching and all the runes in the leather. And the lighting's really bad, but it really came out really well. Now we're going to do the skull on top. And of course, we're going to use our standard skull, Xandri Dust base, and go from there. Do all the skeletons the same way, all bones. There's a nice, good base for bone color. Obviously, then we're going to wash it with the Agrax Earthshade, or again, any brown wash, soft tone ink for Citadel, and then we're going to go with the skeleton bone dry brush over the top of that. And there you have it. Now you could be you can leave it just like this and be fine. We're going to go one more step further with Drake Tooth. It's going to be like, another lighter tone over the top of that. I'm not sure what the equivalent of that. We're going to dry brush the rest of it. There, we got the helmet done now, all the bone pieces. Now we are going to really just fix the, wash the horn top part of it with the sepia wash. Just get the horns, just to darken them up a little bit, and have some contrast between that and the skull. And there you have it, folks. Now you can go on a step further, add some silver edging to the axes, which I did later on, and pick out the top pieces, but that's pretty much it. Lots of leathers and chainmail and the blue skin. I really like how this one turned out. So please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you next time with another miniature to paint. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but probably a D&D one.